Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Stream Warriors. And we have a very special guest with us today, a man by the name of.
Vincent DiSanti.
See, I knew I was going to say that wrong. I was going to say DeSanti. So that's why I just
That's
let.
all right.
That's why I
DiSanti,
just.
DiSanti, it's all the same thing.
That's why I let you take the reins on that one.
No worries.
Of
It's good to see you
course,
guys.
good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's so awesome when we get to talk to anybody else from fellow creators from the horror community, like
Cool.
James,
Yeah.
like James Grin and Zach Francis.
Yeah, no, those are good guys. I've talked to James quite a few times.
Yeah, we talked about you a little bit when we interviewed them last video.
Cool. Yeah. Good. I hope good things.
Oh, always.
Great.
And what are we doing today? We are asking him questions and nagging him.
No.
Nah.
Yeah. We're gonna
Maybe.
pick his brain.
Yeah. What do you guys want to jump into?
All right. Well, let's talk about that teaser you dropped the other day.
Yeah. So, we released Never Hike in the Snow, and shortly after I went home to go see my family. It was a trip that I put off because of COVID, but with things being a little bit safer and restrictions being there, I rolled the dice, flew across the country, did my tests and stuff like that, and got to spend some time with my family. And while I was home, had some time to think, and I was kind of like, I was explaining to like somebody. I found myself explaining a lot, and be like, well, if you watch them in order. It makes a lot of sense. And I think it would be really cool once this whole thing comes together. And then while I was saying that, I was like, we should really put the whole thing together. And so I messaged my editor, Mike, and I was like, hey, Mike, what would happen if we put the three films together? Could we put that together in a cohesive unit? And you think we could do it by Friday the 13th? And he was like, yeah, I mean, I got like a little bit of time to kind of put it together. Like, what are you thinking? And so over the course of the last 2 weeks, we've just basically been throwing together this run and gun production to put together something special. So we've cut Disappear, Never Hike in the Snow, and Never Hike Alone into one fluid anthology. So it's not like one film where we cut out the titles and things like that. It's more flows like a passage of time. And that's how these films are supposed to play out. They're supposed to be kind of like brief views into the world of Camp Crystal Lake and the stories of Jason Voorhees. And that's why I think it's so perfect to call it the Ghost Cut, because it's when you look at it and lay it out this way, it really is Jason's story. And Kyle kind of hijacks it, and it's a lot of fun. So we put this together, and while we were doing that, we were thinking of ways to put like an interstitial, like connect some scenes, and so we looked into some old footage and thought about how we would play it out. And so we added a couple of pieces to it. And so I'm really excited about like kind of some of the new parts that are going to add into what was already there. So Disappear is going to get a little bit of expansion. Never Hike in the Snow has a little bit of an expansion. And then there's a nice teaser for what's to come down the line at the end of the show. So I think fans have something to be really excited about. It's a culmination of the last 4 years of work that we put into this company, starting in 2016, going all the way to now in 2020. And, going back to some early stuff that we did in Never Hike Alone too. I've been posting a lot of our old videos on our Womp Stomp film page and going down memory lane. And I'm like, wow, we've been putting a lot of work in this for a lot of years. Like, it's taken a lot to do all this stuff. And I don't know if, sometimes people just discover things and they don't realize that there's like a history behind it. Like something just pops up. It's like somebody magically made it.
Yep.
So to kind of put this out there, I think kind of puts us out to be like, no, this is what we've been doing. This is what we've been trying to do. And this is just a taste of what's to come. So this is the first half of what we were planning to do and we've done over the last 3 years. And now over the next like 2 years, we want to try and get the second half done, which is going to take a lot more support. But I think once people see what we're doing, what we're capable of, I think they'll be really excited for the future, for next year when we get going with the next installment. And obviously Friday the 13th is coming up. So when we saw that like nothing was really happening, there hasn't really been any movement on the lawsuit as of right now. I don't know. This is going to air on Friday the 13th, but we don't know if they're going to announce anything that day. But it's really nice that, we have something to look forward to. I know people have maybe seen each one on their own, but watching them fluid through, I think will have a different appeal. You won't have to switch the video. You won't, you can just sit back for 80 minutes and just enjoy our entire story. It opens with a music video. The middle part has that brutal kind of piece, but then like when you get to Never Hike Alone, you're going to have so much more understanding of like what this world is and how Kyle is coming into it. So now you have this backstory going into this film that 3 years ago launched this entire charade of fan films I mean, I wouldn't call it a charade. I would just maybe a parade of just kind of onslaught of fan films that have come out. But like we kind of kicked it off, so it brings us back to there too, which is kind of cool. And I think that the fans, hopefully they enjoy it, and then we can talk about what the steps are moving forward. But right now, we just wanted to have something on Friday the 13th to celebrate. And I was thinking, as I was going through all my old videos, what I realized is all this stuff that I've been posting on Friday the 13th, starting with those little stop motion animations and like
those are awesome,
like even like the little teaser things. That started back in 2015. I think 2015 was the year that we had 3 Friday the 13th. It was the greatest year of all time.
Yes, I do remember that.
It was February, March, and December.
Yeah, it was December.
And so that year I started doing something on Friday the 13th every Friday the 13th. And if I remember correctly, the next Friday the 13th was May 13th, 2016. And so I had done 3 things in 2015 that were either a photograph, a short video, or stop motion animation. And then in 2016 in May, we released the first trailer for Never Hike Alone. And then since then, we've been what's it called? We've been releasing something on Friday the 13th every single time. So it's either been a trailer or it's been a film. And so we realized this year that we kind of like released something on October 13th this year because we wanted to get into the Halloween season and get Never Hike in the Snow out and kind of fill in a gap because so much stuff was vacating that area. And now that there's nothing in Friday the 13th, and we had these kind of 2 weeks to like, I don't think it will take too much to put this together. I mean, because the films hold up on their own. We're really only working on an opening and some interstitials and an ending. And that's something that like, since I have still some time off before I have to go to work actually on the 14th, I'm like, I'm just going to bury my head in a Premiere and After Effects and Apple Motion and just go nuts and have fun. And so I built the teaser that I released on Tuesday to get people aware of what we're doing. I'm probably going to have to do a lot more posting about it. But yeah, I think that like it was just kind of like like everything before with Never Hike in the Snow, it was kind of like we had to build the release date and all this stuff, and there was so much to it, and now this is something that like this doesn't need as big a post-production for something like this that we can do. I was like, hey, we can throw stuff together on our own and build it for this, like I think within this time frame. And so it's been kind of crunch time this week. Been gathering assets, launching things. Actually just finished at this moment, because we're recording this obviously before Friday the 13th. I just finished kind of the opening of the movie, and I have all my assets, and I'm going to build the end of the movie today. And it's kind of like I'm doing like the post-production credits and things like that. Like we're doing very short credits. I'm gonna, if anybody who's watching this and they worked on the films, like if I just want to apologize, or the Indiegogo backers, if you wanted this on Friday the 13th, we were not doing a 20-minute scroll on this thing. So we just got like a really short credit thing. We just wanted to be about Friday the 13th, and we wanted to be about Never Hike Alone and how much we love and Womp Stomp Films and everybody who's worked on it. And, we credit a few people because we have some special guests that are showing up. Obviously, Tom and Vinny have done some new material for it, but we have other people that have now joined in, some other alumni. So it's going to be pretty cool. They're just small little tidbits, stoked. Like a voice here or maybe, something here, something there. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be cool. It's not like, what's nice is you're going to watch some of the stuff you've seen before, but you're also going to get some new stuff along the way. And I think that that's kind of cool. Like it's going to, and obviously it's like, it's all planted in one thing. It's got its own kind of aesthetic, and, and I think that that's, we're excited about it. So what do you guys think?
I think that, you definitely, I like the idea of it. Like, I like putting all the stuff together. So it's going to be around the actual feature length, isn't it?
Yeah, so it'll be around 80 minutes.
Yeah.
I can't say what it is right
Nice.
now because we might adjust something here or there.
Yeah.
But when I
Right.
add up the 4 projects, it's
Yeah.
at least 80 minutes.
Hey.
Unless I'm wrong.
So you're saying you have so much more filler that you guys can actually do this in a way, right?
Well, it's I wouldn't say it's like gobs of filler, but it's there's a new introduction into the whole idea.
Okay.
And what I think I needed to do was remind, because there was like some old, like, and I don't want to give anything away for you guys right now, but there were some old things that we did in our history that were great, but they never kind of made it into the film. And they didn't belong in the film at the time. They were there for other reasons. But now, as an entity, we looked at everything that we've made, and that's my only hint. It's everything that we've ever made for Never Hike Alone. We kind of said, we've been telling this story for a long time, but it's all on separate pieces and it's all spread. The stones are spread out across the galaxy. Let's bring and put them all in one place so I can show people what it looks like in this world, because we did set up some things well in some other things.
Yeah.
So it opens up with that and then feeds into Disappear. And then Disappear pretty seamlessly blends into Never Hike in the Snow. And then Never Hike in the Snow is going to get kind of another afterthought. And there's going to be a new scene. Obviously, we're in the summer and there's no snow out here. But we think it works. And it's not crazy. We didn't like go out into the forest and film like giant new scenes. It's just something really quick that we think will help, and it helps bridge it into Never Hike Alone. And so,
Sweet.
And then Never Hike Alone will be there, and then at the end of Never Hike Alone, we're going to tease you for Never Hike Again, and that's really that's really kind of like what to look forward to. And there's going to be nothing that's like too crazy on the the new footage and stuff like that. There's some new footage in Disappear, maybe 1 or 2 shots, some new stuff. There's a new element to it that wasn't there before, and it like I watched that part of it this morning and last night, and it gave me chills. It still gives me chills when I watch it. I'm just like so like enthralled by it. It really just kind of gets the senses tingling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we're getting ready to get this thing together. Me and Mike are going to be working late nights. Like he's working a job right now, and I got to meet up with him at night and bring him kind of the pieces of the movie that I'm building, and he's building kind of like the meat of it, and I'm building the bread.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your channel, and did you ever envision getting 1.8 million views for Never Hike Alone?
I thought I could if we did a decent like if we got a decent like piece together, that it had the potential, because I looked at other Friday the 13th fan films that had millions of views over the span of 10 years, and I was like, oh,
Yours
that's
is
cool.
better, by the way.
Yeah, but that's it's
Not
fine,
just
but
because you're here. That it's like my favorite movie. It's my favorite Friday movie. I'm not even kidding.
It's really amazing.
Well, I mean, I think more or less, it was kind of more. I thought that it was just because Friday the 13th was going to be so popular. I didn't think it would be so well received. I didn't think it would kind of do anything beyond, go on Friday the 13th franchise.com. When we got on Bloody Disgusting with a trailer, I was blown away by that. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
To come where we are right now, I never imagined any of this. I never imagined that I'd be working on it for more years. I never thought I'd be doing sequels. I never even thought I'd be working like in any capacity ever again with this stuff. And it was just kind of situations presented themselves. And this, I want to do original stuff, and I'm still working on original stuff. I got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. It's just that this seems to be the thing that I can get made the fastest with the best quality. And I love Friday the 13th so much. I love telling this story. This story has been so much fun to tell. And it's like, it's bursting out of me in a way. And I just kind of be like, if I could just show you more, of this, maybe we could make more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and obviously, yeah, go ahead.
I don't think it was like the sole thing that like really like everyone really liked it for, but getting Tom in that, like before that, I don't think I'd remember like any like actual actors being in fan films before, other than like Thomas Jane and like that Punisher one. But after that, then it was like a flood. Like Steve Dash and CJ Graham and stuff were in like Vengeance, and now you got Deborah, where he's with a 13 fanboy and even more stuff.
Yeah, well, you kind of have to even rewind back a little bit further. There was a Power Rangers fan film that had Katie Sackhoff in it that was really, really good, by the same guy who did Dirty Laundry with Thomas Jane. There were, I think, there was also another one came out, an Uncharted fan film with
Nathan Fillion,
which was great. And so you kind of had like the potential to do it, and obviously like they were skirting around it, and those productions had like kind of professional funding to it, and the idea was with Never Hike Alone was like, how close could we get to that? Like what is keeping us from achieving this? And we never had alumni in mind, but we had cinematography in mind.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, like, if we're going to shoot something, we want it to look quality. It doesn't matter if it's a fan film or anything, but I'm very passionate about this story. I want to make a 5-minute real good sizzle piece. You know what I mean? And it turned into a 2-minute trailer, which came out, the first trailer for Never Hike Alone. We were trying to push the bounds of our cinematography with, a set of like a DSLR and a GoPro and a drone. And so, it's always been about pushing that envelope ever since. And, we didn't understand how us just trying to push the envelope for our own benefit of trying to become better filmmakers, realizing how that would change the way that the film would get perceived as far as like it being a watchable movie, I guess you could say. And then it kind of catching fire because it was something that hadn't been done before. The cinematography and things that we used were not something that previous fan films had access to, really. If you wanted the type of cameras we had, you had to have like an extensive budget and an expensive like production logistics studio just to keep everything together. And there was very few people using that type of equipment to go shoot fan films back in 2010. It was people with handy cams and DV tapes. The old school way we used to shoot, and that's the way I used to shoot. And everything I shot back then looked like crap too, because you couldn't get the right equipment. It was the screw-on lenses that changed the things. It was like shooting with an iPhone and a DV tape. It was not great.
Yeah.
Can I chime in on that real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I will say whenever time I watch Never Hike Alone, I love the transition from the GoPro to real, like it's perfect. And was it hard to match that up? Did you guys actually use a GoPro? Did you?
Yeah. No, it wasn't hard at all. I mean, you do multiple coverage, you sync sound, and then that's how you line up your shots in your edit, and you can cut back and forth. So it's not really too hard to kind of, the more coverage you have in a scene, the better.
Yeah.
The trick with the GoPro was more teaching Andrew, or working with Andrew, so he knew where to put the camera, so he had a good angle. Like sometimes we needed to see the trail, sometimes we needed to see him and the sign, sometimes we needed to see just him and make sure we couldn't see anything behind him, make sure he was always holding it at a level where he looked good on camera and it looked natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
sure.
There was a lot of rehearsal with that, but then it just became natural for him, and he's really good at walking around filming himself. He does a lot of
Yes, he is.
So I think anyone who's a fan of our pages and stuff like that, or a fan of his social media, knows that he knows what he do, what to do. He's great with it, and that's why he was so personable.
Yeah, man, I mess with him all the time on there. He is. He's great, man. Andrew's awesome.
But going back to what I was saying, how did that meeting with Tom go? Like actually getting him to be a part of it.
So it was through Barry J., our first executive producer, who made that meeting happen. Barry convinced him to watch the trailer. That trailer convinced Tom to talk to me. I showed Tom our second trailer, and then we had a conversation, and I said, this is the role I want you to play. It's very small. That way, we're not making the film about you. I mean, like we're testing the boundaries of the legal limits here, because the other people actually got sued and they got like yelled at and they got in trouble for putting Katie Sackhoff and doing some of those things.
Dang.
So we knew this would be something. We knew we had to keep it quiet. We knew we had to like kind of do these things if we wanted to achieve it based on the rules as we understood them at the time. And this whole time with the whole fan film guidelines, it's something that we looked at from another franchise, which is Star Trek. But Friday the 13th has become kind of like a Wild West. And it started kind of with Tom being in the film, us making a 54-minute film. So I said, Tom, let me keep this a secret. And what's going to be great about it is that when you open up the doors at the end of the film, that's going to be exciting for everybody. Yeah. That's going to be a moment in Friday the 13th history that people will never forget.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit.
Coming. They were watching a fan film, and all of a sudden,
my jaw
boom, Tom Matthews.
Tommy Jarvis, like the hero of the series, just like come out of nowhere. I'm just like, that was
Tommy's so loud.
Maggot head, remember me?
Yeah, so
come on, you pussy.
And not to put too much weight into it. And I didn't want to put too much weight on him to like use the character and stuff like that. But he was all into it. And we had a great night out in Big Bear. We filmed his scenes. We shot him out pretty quickly, probably in like 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then we moved on. And then after that, Tom and I started to talk, and he came to Telluride with us, and we talked about what the future of Never Hike Alone was. And I said, Tom, I got this idea for a sequel, and I know where that van goes. I know what happens. Like, I got the whole thing penned out, and I pitched it to him, and he loved it, and he helped me pitch it around. Some people were obviously like interested, like, it sounded like a good project, but with the lawsuit out, there's no use in trying to do it. But they do like they're like, oh, I wish we could make this movie, but like, how do we do it? So that's when we started going backwards, so we could buy ourselves time and build up more of the mythology and kind of, do the things that we could afford, because everything in that script, trying to do a feature film, we just couldn't afford it at the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I came up with the idea to kind of break it up and stuff like that. So with Tom, it just like, it became like that trust. Like after that, it became about sitting down with him and talking to him about stuff and writing scripts and showing him things and just getting to know him and seeing him at like going to conventions, and he's there too. So we get to kind of hang out. And Tom's just a great guy. I mean, he's the one who introduced me to Vinny Guastafaro, who I brought back and reprised the role of Rick Sloan.
It was amazing.
So it's
amazing.
Kind of a cool, it's kind of a cool, like, way it unfolded, because it just started as us getting like him saying yes to doing a fan film, and since then it's developed a friendship. We just recorded his behind the scenes interview the other day and going to his house, and it's cool. Just kind of like, it's nice.
Cool.
I don't live far from him actually, so it's kind of cool to live in his neighborhood.
Is that surreal for you, like growing up as a kid and like doing? Do you bring stuff back from like when you were a kid and like filming and like ideas for the movies, like, oh, I wish I would have seen it this way or this, but like you're literally sitting in Tom Matthews' house and you're meeting with Vinny, like it's got to be surreal for you. Like I'd be a mess.
I think it's intimidating at first, but after a while, like you just kind of like, I mean, this is the business. If I'm going to work in this business, I'm going to work with people. I can't be starstruck. But it's funny that I don't get starstruck with a lot of stars. Like I get starstruck with Friday the 13th alumni. But I've become so like, I don't want to sound like highfalutin, but I've become used to it now. Like I've met enough of them. I worked on 13 Fanboy. And I got to spend some time with Deb Voorhees and a lot of members of the cast. I made a lot of friends. I mean, how do you think I was able to get a lot of the voices?
It's true.
I made a lot of friends, and they're all people, and they're all doing different things. And honestly, I want to do a road show where I just drive around and talk and just hunt down every single alumni and do a one-on-one conversation and talk about Friday the 13th.
Kind of do
and be completely blunt about it. If they hate
that'd be
it,
cool.
if they love it. Like, I think it would be a great, fun time.
You better hunt down Kevin Bacon.
I bet you know what? I bet you
he would do it.
Fine. I bet I could do it. I bet I could have a sit down with him if we did the right things. But yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a cool journey, and through that, we're waiting for the lawsuit to get there. But in the meantime, fans across the board, we're doing our part. I'm doing the best I can, and everything that I have experienced, I want to share with other Friday the 13th fans. So I want to be able to make this ghost cut and share some cool things with you guys. And then also, when we have our friends on the other fan films who are doing all this other stuff, that that they need support too. That like look at all these fans making all these different movies. I mean, there's a movie about almost every single version of Jason right now, I think, except Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So someone's gonna step on the Manhattan.
Oh,
As far as if I can remember,
yes,
which I kind of want to
Make it for Blake.
Manhattan sequel.
Shut
I would
up.
love to see. I would love to see you redo Manhattan.
If you don't know, I'm a very harsh on Jason Takes Manhattan. It's like the only one I actually don't like is that one.
Wow.
But can we at
enjoy
least
it for
agree it's not
I
Jason's
enjoy it.
fault in that movie?
No, it's not Jason's fault,
No,
except
Jason
for whenever
is
he
really
runs
Jason
off.
was actually
I love
really good.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think that
action in that is good.
I don't think there is a
Go ahead.
bad Jason. Like in
don't
all
either.
the movies, I wouldn't
No.
think so.
No,
No, I don't think Jason's. I think Jason. There's things about Jason's look that goes up and down. There's certain
Correct.
decisions that were made that pulled him away from who he like. That Paramount Jason towards the end was really good.
Yeah,
I mean, that 6, 7, 8
Yes.
span. I mean, there was some
Yes.
really good stuff in there. Obviously, with the exception of 8's face.
well,
Yes.
I
yeah, that was
attribute
terrible.
that more to like the acid kind of melting his face a little bit. That's
Yeah,
how
but
I see it.
Yeah, but no, no.
Still,
It's
still terrible.
Just,
I'm trying to redeem 8, and y'all are like telling me no. Come on.
like I think that's
No.
the only thing I can agree on with that. I saw it when I was young, so I love that movie and you know that. But that part when he takes his mask off and then he does that weird scream and like it's like no, and then he turns into a boy. It's like I
yeah,
don't know.
that's kind of. I kind of see that as Rennie high on heroin.
Yeah, because she was like doing that throughout the whole movie, just seeing little Jason.
Yeah, she was just seeing stuff.
Yeah,
I
think
never
that,
thought of
like,
that.
Okay, true. All right, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like
never
Jason
thought of
got
that, Vincent.
washed out to sea.
You're right.
Uh,
I never thought about that.
Yeah, if I can
Spit
remember
out.
right,
Spit
the
out
people
into the Hudson.
the people that are making like the Friday 13 7.5
Wow.
fan film, I think they're actually going to be doing like an 8.5 fan film as well. So there is going to be one about 8, I think.
Cool, good.
I hope.
Who's doing that?
The people that are making Return to Crystal Lake, it's I can't remember who exactly, but it's
That's Slashcast, right?
no, that's Jason Rising, I think.
Yeah,
Nope, Jason Rising is Red Crow. Slash and Cast is the. Frig.
Fall of Camp
Why am I like Fall of Camp Blood? Bam.
Fall of Camp Blood,
The
yeah.
people.
Like the last. I was like, damn it.
I don't know exactly who's
So
making
bad.
it.
Yeah, I actually
All I know is it's like
actually met there,
7.5.
Jason, at Scarefest.
Yeah. There's somebody making the guys making the Roseblood one. It's a 7.5.
Yeah, I love
Let me
this.
see.
Yeah, that's the same guy
Yeah,
that
Vengeance is doing another one.
I can't wait
don't
for
know if
Vengeance
Cody's doing
too.
another one.
I
I
liked Vengeance a lot.
I loved Vengeance.
It was brutal.
Out of all the fan films, it reminded me of like an '80s like Friday film. Out of all of them, like it felt like closest to that tone and that, especially when you got like C.J. Graham to play Elias Voorhees, and I think the same guy that's playing. I think the same guy Jason Brooks that played him in Vengeance is also playing him in Roseblood.
Yep, same guy.
Good. I liked him. My friend, I actually had him sit down and watch all the Friday movies with me. He didn't really like any of them, but I showed him Vengeance. He's like, "Holy crap! Yeah, this one, I'm down for this." And he also watched Never Hike and Still with Me live. He's like, "You know what? This is a beautiful fan film." I was like, "I got you now."
Yeah, right. See, no, and then I think that's what's going to be nice about this is that even though Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow and Disappear were all made with 3 completely different crews, with completely different assets and cameras, that over collection of time it still fits, and it's this beautiful story about Jason, and it's kind of weird to say that. About him, but when I look back on it, it's this really sad story about this creature that lives in the woods and kills people and finds no
The
joy.
Revenant. I think I saw you post something like he was like a Revenant, or someone did.
Yeah, we really want to play with that.
Yeah, I like that.
About this. But what if you were a Revenant and like, how long does a Revenant hood take? You know what I mean? Like, how many people does he have to kill before he can just take a nap?
Maybe none.
Isn't that the story of Jason? Like, when are they finally going to kill Jason and stop making Jason movies? Like, when can he just stop doing stuff?
One of the few downtimes that we got to see was like in the 2009 reboot, and then like in Never Hike in the Snow when he was like kneeling down at the thing. Like, as far as downtime, Jason, that's about what I can remember. Like, I remember there being like a set photo from Freddy vs. Jason where it shows him just sitting on his bed, Looked like he was
Yeah, there
contemplating
was a
stuff.
great set out there too.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
like
See
that.
the behind the scenes
Yeah,
set
yeah,
on
yeah.
the lake in Vancouver. They're like the house, the sunken cabin. Oh,
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I liked
so
the
good.
even though it was his dream, I liked all like the bodies floating in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Like if
I
that
will
was actually
say-
something that someone did, like as actual like part of the mythology, made it more mystical like that, I wouldn't mind that. With
I
actually
will
like all his victims. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I will say, Vincent, this is I think for the first time for me that you, in Never Hike in the Snow, that you actually feel for him. You're like, damn, like, especially when he turns his head when his mom wants to pull the mask off. I was like, shit, that's some
That's
deep
sad.
shit.
You get it too.
Yeah.
And like, but you could kind of imagine like it was definitely reminiscent of his childhood. I'm sure he wore stuff on his face as a kid too. You know what I mean, to hide his
Yeah.
ugly face. I wonder if he wore stuff and like she used to like take it off, like he could take it off when he
Maybe
was
he
home.
wore like a sack, like
I don't
as a
know if he
little
would wear a
kid.
sack, but I think that there might have been things that like a I don't know, not like family opera, but like some kind
Yeah.
like I remember like one of the films did have he had like a medical mask that he used to wear. I mean, that would make sense now, but I thought that was a decent idea. But there's just something about like he just doesn't like to be seen.
He's
You know what I
very
mean?
insecure about his
It's
face.
almost
I
But
would
his
say.
mother always,
Yeah.
but his mother always gave him that love. She didn't abuse him. She
Yep.
was the only person that they were ever connected to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we want to really highlight that story. We want to highlight their arc, and then which makes it really important. And speaking of that, the Jason Rising guys are going to be releasing a teaser as well, so you got to check out their page.
Hey,
Sweet.
I've been waiting
I
on that
saw
one.
I've already seen it because I'm a co-producer on it. And
Yeah.
it's
I was just going to
friggin-
ask if you were the
Yeah.
producer. I thought you were.
Was it?
Yeah.
What did you,
well, producing and a co-writer.
What did you do differently filming wise with Never Hike in the Snow?
From the previous movies,
Yeah.
pre-planned. We had a script that was done and ready to go. We kind of like had it locked in about what we wanted to do. We had money ahead of time, so we were able to pre-plan and get everything done ahead of schedule. We had to wait till a certain time to shoot for the snow, but it was just kind of like once it was time to go, we just executed in 6 days. I mean, Never Hike Alone took 18 months of putting pieces together. And like when Never Hike Alone is literally going like, oh, I found this shot back from 2016. This will work. Boom, throwing it in. And if we didn't have this big cluster of bins with all this stuff, we wouldn't have been able to stitch it. But that big cluster of bin has kind of been what we're able to build kind of like the concept of the ghost cut with. But it was, but it allowed us to put Never Hike Alone together. And this time it was we just had 6 weeks. I mean, 6 days. So it's 6 days of footage, and that's the entire film. That's everything in there. And then we added a little bit later on, like maybe like a couple of shots, but nothing that was like we had to do on Never Hike Alone, where we had to go and reshoot scenes because the seasons changed and it was a brown landscape to a green landscape, and that wouldn't have made any sense. And so we had to go refilm it because we messed up or we took too long. So it was like a lot of like that stuff to like fix Never Hike Alone, or like see like we made terrible mistakes in this scene, but let's go shoot it again. But we can keep doing it for free because it was just Andrew, and Andrew was willing to go up and do it for free, and we were all going up there just basically doing it out of our own pocket and like renting stuff with our own money. And then using fan-funded stuff to do the bigger stuff. So, it was it was definitely a long process. And we didn't want to do that again because it made it way more expensive than it had to be. And so this time it was it was just as expensive, but that's because now all the value is on the screen. And so that was really the biggest change for us, was like showing everybody that we could put up 25 solid minutes and it will look beautiful. And it will sound wonderful, and the gore will be over the top and brutal.
That first kill, man.
The
That first
story
kill
will be good, you know what I mean? And the music will be awesome. And so it's like we're bringing all that now, and now it's really hit that level. And as we tell the story and we progress forward, we just want to keep raising that bar and making it look more and more like it's something that belongs on HBO Max.
Yep. Yeah, that first kill was fantastic in snow. Oh my god. My jaw dropped to the floor, dude. I was
So did his.
Like, holy shit! Like, finally, you see some nasty shit, and then the snow, like the blood going on the snow, and then he just, All right, how
So-
did you guys get the drag when he pulled the body away in one take?
Yeah, that's. I mean, it took 2 takes to do it. The first time we did it, it was just tough to grab his ankle, and that's
Mhm.
Brian Forrest doing it, not me. I'm.
Yeah.
We were switching back and forth. So in that one, we
Mhm.
were doing a crane shot, so I was not in costume. I had to be seeing what's in the camera. So we just had to really get that grip. We did one, didn't like the grip, so we didn't pull him out of the place. We put him back in. We packed it all back in, and
Okay.
then it was probably the second take. Like we did a one false take, and then we did 2 takes. But we did it. Yeah, that's all in one take. Him pulling it and then like
'Cause I was-
going out.
Because when I I don't even know how many times I've watched it now, but I just always wondered, like, 'cause, you know, when if you're dragging them out and you got that perfect shot of where you guys pick, and then the snow. I just figured, like, if you guys dragged them and the snow was, you know, you see the trail of the snow, like if you guys went back and like covered it up, or if that was all in one shot.
I think the one we ended up using ended up being the first take. So I think that's but you couldn't really see it because they blocked it anyway.
Yeah.
So it always looked like it went through. It
Gotcha.
wasn't too bad. You know, we could always,
Gotcha.
there's things you can kind of hide and trick the eye with, especially if you keep it a certain way. You know, keep the view on something. You can kind of like use it to block itself, so you never even know that somebody walked through the snow or something like that. And then
Gotcha.
we did some blending and stuff too.
Was it hard to work in the snow?
Oh yeah, it's really hard to work in the snow. We
Yeah.
knew that was going into it. I mean, that's part of what makes it expensive.
Yeah.
You got to pay for extra things to keep people warm, for weather, for, you know, it takes longer to set up. It takes, you know, people get tired quicker. People get dehydrated quicker because you're wearing more layers and you're sweating.
Right.
You know, we're out in the middle of Big Bear. It's not like the greatest place in the world. So
Yeah.
it's a, you know, I'm not saying the Big Bear's not great, but we're out at a camp, like staying outdoors with heaters in bunks. You know what I mean? We're not like, it's not like a comfortable little, you know, we did that to save money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
For sure. For sure.
So it was, you know, it's a trial by, it's definitely, you know, trial by fire when we're out there. It's not easy. And it was cold and it was snowing on us and we got hit with storms and it was windy and, you know, it would, you know, we were freezing.
Yeah, I'm sure the night shots had to be pretty brutal.
Yeah. And that was kind of like a sleeting rain. So it was
Yeah.
like
Oh, man.
extra cold.
I will the cop lights, the way you guys shot that effect with the cop lights and the blue and red just in the back. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah, that was really neat.
amazing. And then, like the way it just, you know, reflected off the actor's face and everything. It's perfect.
Yeah, no, I got to give credit to Evan Butka, the DP. He's the one who kind of like designed it so it would do that in that way. And that scene, that was definitely really, I mean, I always know what I want to do with my angles, and I got an idea for what I want to do with lighting, and I kind of figured, oh, you know, the lights are going to be bounced off their faces. I just need something to fill them in. But he does stuff with his camera that gets certain effects, and then that goes into the coloring with our colorist Rob, who kind of puts that tint on it and brings it even up even level. So it's a nice combination of different people, like really accentuating the base lighting that we set up on set to really kind of figure it out. So it was really kind of a good chain of people feeding off of each other to create that type of look.
That's pretty cool, man.
You know, I remember reading that you said like in future installments, like they were more like episodes. Never Hike in the Snow, to me, it felt like a pilot of like a Friday the 13th TV show, which I don't think the CW could have done justice back when they were developing
that. Done that. I don't think CW would have split a dude's head in half from the first episode.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, if that's how you opened up your Friday the 13th pilot episode.
Is with that.
Like, with that, that's
People
you come on home Friday night, you put that on, and that's what happened. And then
it would have
that
to
way. You're like, I'm watching next week.
It would have to air on Friday.
100%.
It would have to air on Friday,
I'd be
wouldn't
addicted
it?
to it like crack.
So this cut that we're doing, this ghost cut, is to give people that feeling of what it would feel like, because we're not $1 million company that can go out and just make the next episode like no big deal, and we could pay for all the COVID tests. It's, you know, it's going to take some time and some planning. We're going to have to try and attempt it next year, but I can't guarantee that. You know what I mean? Like, what happens if we get shut down next year?
Yeah.
So we really want to be cautious about it. We're really going to kind of sit back and try to figure something out. And we're going to be methodical and smart. And then once we know that we can go forward, the things we know we can go forward with, we're going to go forward with. we're going to do the best we can for the fans, like we always have, and that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the coolest things you've done is, like you can say Baghead Jason. Obviously, everybody knows you're referring to Part 2 or Zombie Jason. Part 6 and later on. But you guys actually have Ghost Jason, and
Yeah.
I can say that, and everybody knows the Jason I'm actually talking about, man. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
It also helps that the hockey mask is like a different shape.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
And
love the mask.
it's very distinct. Like you look at it and you know exactly what it is.
I was sad at first because there's no chevrons, but the more I look at the mask, I just fall in love with it. Like I keep looking at it behind Michael.
I think Vincent, I messaged you a long time ago, and I think because you sent me all the pictures of the masks and everything, so I could make it. And I'm like, I was talking to you, I was like, oh man, it's like what happened to the chevrons? You're like, well, they used to be there, and I was like, okay, you had me sold.
See.
But I do, now that we're on the topic of this, I do want to give a shout out to HorrorFX Designs, because didn't he have a big part on all your stuff?
So HorrorFX Designs, he did our weapons. So he did our axe, he did the bows, and he did the arrows. So all those fake arrows that we shot, he built those, because we built them off of real arrows, but I couldn't fire a metal tip. I couldn't kill I couldn't actually shoot him. So but we did fire an arrow at him, a live arrow for one of the shots.
Was it a dull tip?
Yeah, it was a breakaway tip. If it would have hit him, it came nowhere close to hitting him.
Yeah.
We got permission from everybody. He signed off on it. We got the whole thing. He said, "Are you sure you're okay?" He's like, "I don't care." And hit so much padding on. There's no way it was going through everything. So so Brian made that shot, and he didn't even come. He perfect, nice shot, and we didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he did that. He does a lot of our sickle work. When we do prop sickles, and beyond that, but the people who do our mask are CFX, Louisiana.
Yes.
So they're the one who made the original Ghost Hawk. Right now, Sculptor Die does the official Ghost Hawk that we make from the original mold. A New Kind of Fear does the paint jobs on them, and then we've made them available through Kickstarters. Through Indiegogos. We're still working on the last batch. It's taking forever. We know. But we're working on it, and you can only push it. You only push so many out at a time, and we're just doing the best we can to get everybody there. We're over halfway at least, but we've been saying that for a while, and we're going to get over 3/4 of the way.
There was one thing I wanted to ask you. Hey, Michael, can you grab your mask real quick?
Sure.
Oh, you got yours.
Yeah.
That's what I was wanting to ask you. The the darker spots by the vent holes and whatnot. Is that actually dried blood, or is it just wear and tear on the mask?
It's wear and tear on the mask, so it's chipped away. So it's dug into what the under basically there's a reinforcement layer in the mask, and then that's the overcoat of the paint. And so these masks are designed like masks were in the 1960s. And this is supposed to be a mask from the 1960s, as if it was stored at Camp Crystal Lake and put away in an equipment bin. And then as you saw in Never Hike in the Snow, it was in one of those boxes.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was a nice little Easter egg.
And they came in different styles. And so when you got them for basically they were fake. Yeah, so they were hockey masks for the kids at camp, because they were going to have a winter camp. And basically they came with all different styles. So all different chevrons, all different things. So if you look real closely, there's another.
I noticed a Part 5.
Mask. There's that one, but there's also a one with a chevron, with a black chevron.
Ooh.
On when it's down on the ground in that first shot when you first see them. If you look closer.
Yep.
So there's different. So there's different styles. It's pretty cool.
That is. Cool. I love the backstory for that. That's really cool. Instead of taking it just from Shelley, actually I got it.
Well,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I was just
other
than just getting it, literally just stealing it from somebody who was already at camp because they were going to.
But I did like that he stole it from somebody. I like that he kind of stole that kind of became his identity. And in our world of Never Hike Alone, that still counts. The mask, that mask existed all the way in. The mask existed until Part 4, I guess. Part 6, there was a new mask. Part 7, same mask. Part 8, new mask, and then that one was destroyed. And so in 8, he needed another one. So when he had to get another mask, I wanted it to be within his reach of what was.
I like that.
You know what I mean? So I wanted, if it was going to be a new mask, he was going to find something. It would be something that if he was rummaging around looking for things, he would come across it.
I like that a lot.
That reminds me,
but
like in the
there's actually
go ahead. Sorry.
So there's actually a story behind it too, and it's part of the story that I have called The Defeated, which is its working title, and that's the story of how Ghost Jason became Ghost Jason. And I'd love to make that film one day because it's really cool. It's very different. Yeah.
Maybe that'll be your movie when they give you the rights.
I'd love to do an episode.
I'm petitioning for Vincent to get the next feature film, man. I don't care. Even Mike and Jay from We Watch the Movie say that every time you put out content, they're like, this man needs to direct the next film.
Yep.
I got a question before I head out to work. I have to leave in a minute. But I was just wondering, we got to talk to Adam Marcus, the director of Jason Goes to Hell, and he said the reason he put the Necronomicon in the movie is to explain how he keeps coming back. And you were talking about making a movie about Ghost Jason. Would you use that idea to explain why he keeps coming back?
No, that's Adam's idea. And, Adam being such a big fan of the Evil Dead, bringing Jason into that universe, it's a cool idea to do that, to tie that in. It's just not the way I've always seen Jason. I posted a couple weeks ago on Womp Stomp Films, the idea of what a Revenant is and how simple that is. It's not tied to the Necronomicon. It's not necessarily tied to anything. It's not that this Jason couldn't exist in a world with a Necronomicon, but this is another supernatural event that's reoccurring in our mythology, I guess you could say. We say, Revenant in our terminology is something that comes from, ancient stories. When they talk about people rising from the dead and things like that. These aren't things that in our real world that we've ever experienced, or at least experienced in a time in which anyone has actually seen it, recorded it, and made it proof. It's just conjecture and it's legend. And so what's great about film is that you can explore legend. Film is the place where we tell these stories. Literature is the place where we tell these stories. Music is the place where we explore these stories. So when you look at Jason and you try to make sense of it, you just want to make it as simple as possible. And I think when you introduce an outside entity into the world, you're taking from H.P. Lovecraft and now you're jamming that in there. With Friday the 13th, you could say the word Revenant, and the word Revenant could exist within this world. They say death curse. Revenants and curses are very closely related. So I'm trying to build off of things that you have to find in a Friday the 13th film to actually pull from for information. Yeah. Or you have to go into the behind the scenes and you got to pull a behind the scenes story. Or you got to go into the novels and get a little bit more and pull these great ideas that were never really executed on screen, but if were, may make Friday the 13th a little bit of a different experience when you're watching, a little bit more than a cheeseburger film and a little bit more of a three-course meal. No, but I mean, that's ultimately, we all love cheeseburgers.
Hell yeah.
Cheeseburger film is a bad thing. We love cheeseburgers.
Fuck, I want one right now.
I've always wanted to take this recipe and I wanted to make it with a little bit of extra love. Spread a little extra salt on it and just take a little bit more time and really cook it right. And I was like, if you really took your time with this select beef, you can make one of the best tasting meals you've ever had. But everybody keeps flash frying it and serving it up.
I really like that analogy.
It is. I mean, it really is. And the thing is that this is the spectrum of now what fan films have done. That's what we've chosen to do. We've gone down a realm of like, deaths don't matter. The death isn't the most important part of the story. In some way it is, but in the other way, it's like we're not trying to cram death in. We're not trying to make a body count film. We're actually trying to work towards people like really caring if they live or die, and what's the story here, and does this actually connect, and does the continuity line up? And starting to tread a path for a Friday the 13th series that could actually make sense when you watch them one after the other. And I think that's another reason why we did the Ghost. You see the same Jason through three different stories.
It's going to help people understand it.
You basically see Jason over a span of 13 years in the world, starting with Disappear and then getting over to Never Hike Alone. And the film starts even before that, which is cool. So
cool. I have bent backwards trying to make the continuity work. Over 5 years since I started trying to do this. So my question, Revenant, did in your mind did Jason actually drown as a child and he was brought back as a Revenant?
Yes.
And he was so he was undead in 3 and 4 because recently Joseph Zito, the guy that directed the final chapter, said that his Jason was dead and that just like he was actually dead in that movie, and that really like blew my mind thinking about it.
Yep.
It was like holy crap. So he died in 3, like 2 and 3 are the only ones he was actually maybe alive in, even though he's Revenant, like you say.
Well, yeah. So technically, he would have been a Revenant in part 2 as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you think about, I think about him like a T-800, but he's his undead spirit. No, really.
Yeah, no,
If you think about it, like he's given his form, but as time gives him damage, his form changes and it adapts. And it like a T-100, like it gets thing, but like whatever around it doesn't continue to rot. You know what I mean? It just, that's where the damage is. But I think he's more biometric. He's not a computer. So he's more like takes the form of a decaying person. And so if you look at the concept of what Joseph Zito did, what he's saying is that Jason was undead and had no damage. But in part 2, as he took damage, in part 3, as he took damage, in part 4, he's starting over this period of like now 48, 72 hours to show signs of decomposition. He's getting more, and his nails are kind of
you could tell about how how he looks in the final chapter when he takes off that mask. He is fucking rotten.
He's rotting, and he's ultimate. But what's the engine underneath? The supernatural engine is still
keeps going.
It still hasn't been completely eradicated to a point where there's nothing that could come back. You know what I mean?
So is that how you see him in like Jason Goes to Hell whenever his body gets blown up and his like spirit like jumps between bodies?
Well, yeah. So like when they did that like broke my heart.
Dude, I was so pissed.
in that, it's like I get to that point where like, to me, I'm like, you just defeated Jason. Jason has been defeated. There is no coming back from this unless somehow his body parts pull back together, which I don't want to see a movie where it does that. Like, I honestly think that if you hit Jason with a grenade and blew him up, that would pretty much put a stop to him, unless there was some other supernatural thing that blinded him in a way. And it's just too much. I think it's just asking too much. And the whole like the parasite, that didn't really make sense because that's never been been.
It's so different from the rest of the movies, but I think I enjoy it for that.
I do,
especially when we got to talk to Adam Marcus, like in his vision for it. I really have a lot more respect for that movie.
Oh yeah, no, I have tremendous respect for Adam and everything. And I found a way to enjoy that movie.
Yeah.
At the time, it was presented to me as this is the last movie they're going to make, and this is the final ending of ever. Yep. And I went, no, this is not how it ends.
3 more movies come out.
It doesn't end with him not being in the movie. You know what I mean? It ends with him like being in. Like I want to see Tommy defeat him, or I want to see like what. This isn't what I want. And when you talk to Adam, he wanted Tommy. He had the same instincts, but the studio stepped in, and what we're starting to see a trend.
New Line Cinema.
Yeah, not just New Line.
That's true. Not just.
But what you're seeing here is this trend of the studio stepping in and telling the filmmakers what they need to make rather than what needs to be made.
Yeah.
It's not the fans saying this is what we want, because Freddy vs. Jason has been an idea since part 7.
Yeah.
So instead of doing Freddy vs. Jason, which the studios could somehow not agree upon to do, instead they made Jason versus Carrie. Jason takes a boat ride to Manhattan. Jason Goes to Hell, and because they weren't able to bring Tommy Jarvis back, and all these different excuses. You know what I mean? And so the studios keep running into all these walls because there's legal things and blah blah blah. And fan films are just like, oh, you want a story with Tommy and Vin?
Got it.
You got it. Like, what do you want? You want more of this?
You bang.
You want Steve Dash? Oh, you want Steve Dash playing someone called Jason Riolotti? Yeah, you got that too.
I know. You get like all these like. Oh, I think he's
heading out.
Glitching out.
All right.
Sorry, I said sorry. I gotta go to work. See you guys.
Well, you have a good one.
Yeah.
Go make that money.
Earn that baby.
Dollar.
Yeah. So I mean, with it, just to me at the time, Jason Goes to Hell wasn't the thing how I wanted to end it, but you see the studio interference that's there, and fan films being able to kind of go and do these things, we're able to kind of create the films that we've always wanted to see. And so even though we're not all able to get to certain we're never going to be the big budget films. Like we can get, like some of us can get pretty close. But at least the stories that we've always wanted to see are being played out. You know, you have different things, like you have body count movies, you've got mythology movies, you've got movies about part 4 Jasons and part 2 Jasons, and you know, I know of one that's going to be like a Jason X one. There's like, you got Michael versus Jason, and it's more of a Freddy versus Jason. You remake ones, you know, I don't know if anybody's doing the part 1 ones, but you know, it's all over the place. And I know there's multiple part 2s going on. There's some new ones with new masks. You know, people are taking their own, like, this is some of the ones I want to see. Some like, new original Jasons. That's what I want to see. People
like My Special Boy. Like we were talking with James. Like, we love the mask. Like, yeah, we actually got to see the mask before anyone else got, before like any, like, a lot of people got to see the mask. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, I love the chevron on that. It's so different.
I always thought, this is why I give James a lot of credit, because for part 2, I always thought there should have been some transition towards the end of him getting the mask, and he's doing that. So I'm like totally sold for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's cool. So he's taking his own direction, and he's going to try and, you know, and spin his own tail. I think that's something that's really, really cool.
I'm definitely behind that, because like part 2 is like my second favorite one.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, part 2 is my third favorite.
I love Jenny. So she's my, other than Tommy, she's my favorite survivor from the movies.
Yeah, me too. It's Tommy and Jenny for life.
Yep.
I love it.
One thing, I love all the movies except for 8, and I would love to actually see. I'd like to actually see survivors come back. Like, they were gonna have Jenny as a continuation to part 3. Like, I would have loved to see more characters come back, like Chris, Jenny, or Megan.
Yeah, I mean, well, Megan would be. Jennifer Cook doesn't act anymore.
Yeah, I think she got like religious or something.
Same thing with
Yeah, no, she did. Well, she got that, and she got super rich, so she doesn't. She
don't need to. Super rich.
Don't need to.
There's no need to act.
I would like this, like how Nightmare had like Kristen in part 3 and 4, and then you had Alice take over for 4 and 5. Like, the movies mainly by themselves are like standalone. Other than like say like 2, 3, and 4.
4.
Yeah, which are like
4, 5, 6.
Yeah. I mean, with the Tommy story. Yeah, with the Tommy story.
So if you look at there, like, and then there's another one with 6, 7, 9. I mean 6, 7, 8, because it's more the zombie Jason story.
Yeah.
Even though it gets really funky, it becomes like, it comes Jason versus Tommy, Jason versus Carrie, Jason versus Manhattan, both.
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
Jason versus BC Dupree.
Jason in a thing, and like. And the formula changed, and so you could really kind of span it. And then there's even the section of that, like the Paramount era, even though they change a little bit, all kind of have the same tone.
Yeah,
and they still like each one comes off of the last one and pays respects to all the last ones.
All the movies are actually called Friday the 13th.
All the movies are called Friday the 13th. They all have a subtitle, you know, after part 3, and it's and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? And so it really kind of. It really makes it like an interesting kind of pocket of things, and it creates different pockets of fans, which is really interesting. So people are different fans of different, and then there's the New Line era. I mean, there are fans that are fans of the New Line era. People who love Jason Goes to Hell. People who love, I like Jason.
I love Jason X.
Jason X is good.
Freddy versus Jason has its fans because a lot of kids grew up, saw that movie. That was one of the first ones.
That was the first one I saw. I was 4 years old when my parents actually. I was actually a month after it came out. I turned 4.
Old,
yeah, I know. I was 4 years old, like a month after it came out. Shut up, you're old. You're all old. Bradley's on. That's the first one I got to see, and actually got to see it in theaters. First time I'd seen Freddy or Jason, and I was immediately hooked to the giant dude with a machete and a hockey mask. Yep. Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean it was like I was hooked too. I was hooked very early. For me, it was like the late era Paramount stuff, so that's why. You know, that's why I kind of gravitate towards that look and that feel and that era, because that Jason really kind of like hit like a real sweet spot there. It was like, imagine if they knew that they were going to build this guy, what would they do differently to kind of say that he was going to become that in parts 2 and 3?
Yeah.
They never really said it on screen, but when you talk to them behind the scenes, like he was just like, oh yeah, he just comes back from the dead. You didn't have to think about it. And there was nobody to like answer to, you know what I mean? Like maybe somebody was writing a letter to Fangoria, like, how did he come back? This doesn't make sense. Is somebody at Paramount paying attention? What is going on?
Actually, Yeah, those people.
Naturally, yeah. But so like there was nobody to talk to, and nobody really cared. It was just get them back up and send them back out there. You know what I mean?
Money.
Walk it off, Jason. You're still good.
Small budget, high profits.
Yep.
That's I think that's 80s horror in a nutshell. It was like small profit, high. Like
that's horror,
especially after like Halloween. Like after that was made.
Yeah, it gets really odd when horror starts getting very big budgets. It starts to taper off because then they have to adhere to more fans, and it becomes more of a tentpole film. And it becomes watered down.
Yep.
So you really have to kind of stick with that small number.
The new It movies come to mind when you say that.
Yeah, I mean,
even though I do enjoy them,
they did well though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's more about performance. Like it performed. Like that's whether you love the movie or not, it performed. It brought the money.
Highest rated,
you know what I mean?
highest earning rated R movie I think ever was 2017.
Yep.
So Vince, I have a question for you, and it has to do with part 6.
Mm-hmm.
This has always been my theory is from the mask change, and when Tommy's driving to the gravesite and you see the mask in the car or the truck for the first time, I always had an envision that he made that mask.
And Tommy?
Yeah, just because of how I don't know. I'm sure it was something with the studios and someone wanted to go a different route, but my vision has always been that he personally made that mask. I don't know. What do you think about that?
He's shown like actually making masks.
I feel like I've heard too. Like the theory that I have is that's Roy's mask.
Roy's mask. And
he repainted it.
That
I like
fucking
that.
Makes sense.
I like that.
And so he made it like that. Like he made the axe mark.
You're right.
And kind of reformed it and repainted it because he's a mask maker anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a cool because I love
blank
Roy.
shape. So
yeah,
I love Roy too.
That's what I'm gonna put my chips down on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that. Roy's mask, and that's the one because he has it at the end.
Yeah.
5, so
yeah. I mean,
right,
I do like that. I hadn't thought about that before. That makes sense. But the thing that I've always thought was like, he actually stole the one like from Evidence Lockup, the one from Final Chapter. 4? Yeah, since it already had the axe mark, and he just repainted that. That's what I thought. That was my theory. But now I like the 5 one, except him actually making the axe cut. That's
yeah. I know it's kind of it. Either way, it always takes a little bit of a. You gotta like,
just
to put in the logic.
That's me with like trying to make sense of the whole series like as a cohesive thing.
It's like for yours, it's like he snuck into the police station and found the evidence locker.
I mean, he's crazy enough to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole thing with some of that stuff. So we're excited about. To kind of explore some of that, like where the masks are and things like that. That's something we kind of do explore in the Never Hike series.
I will say I enjoyed, like we were talking about that earlier, when you had the pile of masks on the floor. That just made everything so much more clear. Like, okay, now I get it, because when he fucks up a mask, he can just go grab a new one.
Yeah. Exactly. Now he's got an endless supply, and he can look like 1,000 different ways. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, our friend Justin, who's not here, actually... he wrote down some questions for me to ask you, and I was just going to ask those now. What films have inspired your taste for filmmaking?
A lot of different things. Like growing up, I was obviously a big fan of Friday the 13th and all the horror stuff. If I go down the list of horror things, all the things you've heard before. But I mean, films that really shaped who I was like Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yes.
Godzilla
Tim Burton.
Movies.
Oh my! I'm such a fan of
Beetlejuice again. Yeah, that one really had an effect on me. But then like stuff like Jaws, Saving Private Ryan.
Yep.
Shawshank Redemption. My Cousin Vinny.
Yes.
Fuck a lot of like the airplane movies, Mel Brooks. I was really watched a lot of comedy. I watched comedy and horror as a kid. So it was those two things. And Wes Craven, when I look back at the things I really like there's a lot of things in Wes Craven's career that I think I really adhere to. John Carpenter, of course.
Urban Legends was a classic.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some of the stuff on Stanley Kubrick's, obviously, like he's, you look at him for visuals, you look at Spielberg for story and storytelling with camera, and then there's just different directors that now inspire me, that Scorsese and things like that. Like it's all there. I mean, everyone's an accomplished director, and if you look at their style, you can kind of you learn how to deconstruct what they've done.
Yeah.
And and then you try to put the pieces back together, but you put them back together in your own special way, where you have to make a choice of how fast you're going to move the camera, or like what your framing is actually going to be. And so I think I kind of take these movies that inspired me, and it was really like, what's the emotional, when I think about this movie, what's the emotion that I remember about this movie, of why I like it? Because each movie that I love is tied to a different emotion. So when you say like, what's your favorite movie? It's really hard, because then it's like, what's my favorite emotion? And you know, we all like to laugh, but sometimes I like being scared. So it's kind of weird.
I think for me, like, my favorite movie of all time was the original 1933 King Kong. And I think that's why, because of that sense of wonder, like watching like that kind of stuff.
Good one.
Yeah, I saw that one very young, and it's always stuck with me. Next question was, has Sean S. Cunningham seen the movies, and what were his thoughts on them?
Sean, I don't know, is necessarily aware of them. I've met Sean on multiple occasions. He never recognizes me. Maybe he will now. I've met him enough that he might be like, wait, I've seen you before.
I'll be right back.
Time.
Yeah.
But I've never really brought up Never Hike Alone with him. He doesn't really pay attention to fan films. He just kind of lets them be. I have never met Victor Miller face to face. And
I'd like to put those two knuckleheads in a room and tell them to figure it out.
Hopefully, you know, it happens. You know, it's just that if you think about it, and you think about, like, I've seen the industry now, and I've seen it happen a lot, where like people who used to work together, they don't, you know, things happen. You know, people go different ways, and you know, and relationships sour, and it just kind of makes you sad to be like, wow, at one time, like, they did all this work, and if you listen to some of the past things, like before the resentment, before the lawsuit, like they sounded like they were pretty good friends.
Yeah.
At least in some way, shape, or form, and they were happy about what Friday the 13th had done for them, and you know, and all that stuff. But you know, it's kind of a sad situation, and it's a sad situation for fans, but ultimately it led to me, you know, taking a swing myself. And so it's weird when you look back at it. It's how we react to it, and that's how I reacted to this sad news and this sad kind of situation. But it didn't start with them. It started with the studios. I didn't do Never Hike Alone stuff because of them. I did it because the studios weren't delivering. And you know, and Never Hike Alone became this kind of thing that lasted because it couldn't get killed by the lawsuit. It was the one thing that couldn't get destroyed. And so that's been like our only, like, you know, other than trying to do our best and do some really cool like stuff, you know, that's been our best saving grace, is the fact that there's nothing else out there. There is no feature film to compete with. This is about as good as it gets. And, you know, thanks to a community of other filmmakers, we have a new franchise.
Yeah. And even
if you think about it, after all these movies come out, there's going to be a franchise worth of new Friday the 13th
so
in the span of like 3 years.
There's so much content to watch.
There's like
6 or
7 films.
Yeah. It's out there, I think. Definitely.
Jason Rising, his name was Jason. Those two are definitely coming out soon. And then, The Fall of Camp Blood. So there's 3 more on top of the 3 that's already out.
Yeah.
And Voorhees just came out, right?
Voorhees just came out on Halloween.
Oh, yeah, and then Voorhees. So there's another one. Yeah, that's right. I don't know how I just... Wait, well, I kind of said 3 others because I meant the 3 of us that have come out. Yeah.
I don't know if it was...
consider your movies a fan film. They're just films to me, like they're shot so well, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's almost... It's almost amazing. Sorry.
It's okay.
It's really cool because now, like we can just, with this lawsuit, it's such bullshit, and I just love the fact that even you, seeing your posts and everything that you say, you probably, and after talking to you today, you're probably one of the most humble dudes, because you posted something the other day that like said that don't hate on other people's movies. It's everybody, like, come on, like, we're all here for the same reason. We all want to see Jason. We all want to see Jason in different ways. And everybody's doing that because every single person has a different version or vision of Jason.
And it's something. It's a hard lesson to learn. I mean, I'm a Friday the 13th fan, so I've been in as many fights with people over Jason as the next guy. I still continue to like fight about it, and that's what makes it so passionate. It's just we just have to remember what we're fighting about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Sometimes we can be passionate about what we love. We can kind of say the things we want. We can take jabs at each other, but we need to be able to jab back and forth. We need to be able to laugh with it. We need to accept the good, enjoy the good, accept the bad, with the choices you've made, with the Friday the 13th lineage that you've gone with. And then you just go out and you defend it and you do it. But, and then especially with your films, because I think one thing that I can share with all other filmmakers in some way, shape, or form is this, how hard it is. The fact that these films, I know, fans like to go out and they can trash them, and, you can you can take apart all the things that
always going to be there,
broken things, it's always going to be there, but it's more about going in and really picking apart the productions and tearing them apart and realizing that none of these people have the resources to get the actual idea they want to get done. They don't have the resources to do it. I mean, the real idea, the real idea that's in their brain with all the power of all the world. I'm sure some of these films would be amazing, but they don't have that. So they're working with some type of handicap, each film in some way, shape, or form, that's going to keep it from doing that thing. And each does its best to overcome it. And just for taking the attempt, I'm sorry, but these people are sacrificing their time. They're sacrificing their lives, time with loved ones, money.
Yep.
Obviously, no one's putting a gun to our head to do it. But when we choose to do it and we do it, at least have the somewhat of the respect to understand what it takes. And it's the same thing for independent films. It's the same thing for anything that ever gets made. It always takes a lot. But just there's a way to go about debate that's healthy and fun, and then there's stuff that's just mean. And we kind of want to live in this world, I think, that we're not just all yelling at each other all the time and elbowing each other in the head and saying, if you don't think the way I think, then get out. It's got to be why do you think, and we can pick on each other, and what I mean. It's and slowly over time, by getting comfortable with each other's views, do you start to kind of open up your own mind and start to think about things. And I think that because I've done that with the franchise, I enjoy all the films a lot much more. I'm an outspoken critic of 2009, but I've softened on it over the years, just because I've seen how the worst thing I have is I like making fun of it, but the thing I hate about it is when I meet somebody who's a big 2009 fan and they look sad. They look like they're not allowed to like the film. And I'm like, no, you're allowed to love the film. It could be your favorite film. I'm not crushing your spirits. It's just, it didn't work for me. Just like Part 5 probably didn't work for you. You probably hate Roy and the tone and blah, blah, blah.
Part 8.
I know all the reasons.
I love Roy.
I love the reboot and I hate Part 8. So I definitely get that sentiment.
I enjoy the reboot because it's the tunnels and everything. It made sense. It made sense in a way. It made sense. I don't know. Hey, we're all here to agree to disagree, right?
He's got elephantitis. I don't know.
Shut up. You bring it up and everybody starts laughing. It's better than being I didn't
fuck your opinion. Stuff like that.
I didn't mind Derek Mears as Jason. I think he played the character amazingly. It was a new aspect to see him okay, maybe this is how he actually really got around the camp. But I get where you're coming from. I get it. I totally understand. It's not one of my favorites, but yeah.
Yeah, and my retort to it is I would I understand the concept of the tunnels, the fact that he could pop up anywhere in the camp at any time. I get it. It just seems to me it was I look at it from the standpoint of wow, all that money to build those tunnels.
True.
That what could have that else have gone into? It couldn't have just hid him in a what we do in Never Hike Alone is we hide him in places in the camp, which people could find it, but we see what happens when somebody finds it. But we also see how he's very crafty and get around, and get away from people.
Yep.
We wanted to build a Jason that they were kind of alluding to, and this is the Jason I thought that Platinum Dunes was trying to build. And when they didn't build that, I just built it myself. Because I was like, you gave me an idea for a really cool Jason. I'm not going to rely on you to do it. Yeah. And I'm going to go make this. And so with what I was going to bring up before was that the fact that imagine if we were in a chat room right now, or if we were on Facebook. You know what I mean? This conversation would have gone a lot differently. When we all started laughing, the way we read messages, if I put a laughing emoji under you, you'd be like, oh, screw you, dude.
Screw you, asshole.
You know what I mean? But in this moment, we're laughing because and like because oh, okay, yeah, I know you're gonna give me shit for this, but this is actually something I love, and so we're able to present ourselves in such a way that shows our personalities rather than when somebody criticizes what you do, you hear your own voice criticizing yourself, and it's the one that we wrestle with every single day. And so when we're able to connect like this, we have a more healthy debate about it. So here we're talking about 2009. No one's throwing fists at each other. I'm not sending, saying like I wish that all the filmmakers got hit by trucks. You know what I mean? It's like we're not going to the extreme. We're just having a friendly film about something. I mean, a talk about something that we're passionate about, and that's what being a Friday the 13th fan is all about to me. Like, it's about the discussion. I always get upset when someone doesn't want to talk about it because I could talk for hours.
Well, that's the problem, I think, with majority of the world today is that you can't see emotion over text, and people take it out of context. And it's like you just said, dude, it's perfect. Like, you talk, we're talking and we're laughing, and we all understand the series. We all understand the flaws of all movies. But yeah, you're perfectly right. You don't hate on someone because they have a different view or you're just misreading their text.
Yeah, no, and it's that, and that, like, and then if you love a film and someone's making fun of it, don't take it to heart. Like, listen, and be like, or you could be like, oh yeah, well, blah blah blah, and but be funny about it. Like, have fun with each other. Like,
if they didn't know exactly my intent when I hate on 8, I don't think I'd be a part of the Stream Warriors anymore.
Oh, I
Bradley's favorite, like when he just left, his favorite one is part 8.
I 100% know that 8 is a piece of shit, but it was because they ran out of money and they didn't have the right. I don't know. I just think they totally fucked it up. But it's one of my favorite looking Jasons. It is. I think the opening scene is perfect, and then it's just gone to shit.
Yeah,
I will agree. It's a piece of shit movie, but I love it because it's a cheeseburger.
Like in the
I
future,
think Kane gives a really good performance. I think it's one of Kane's best performances.
100%.
Oh yeah, that's
definitely.
I will never give Kane shit for his even like in some like the ones that people don't really like that many, like 8 or 9. I still have his performance in that. Like, it's Kane.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the best, I remember watching like behind the scenes on it, and Kane saying that when he was in Times Square, he didn't take the mask off once because all the people around. He wanted to stay in character. He didn't want to lose that feeling. So I could just imagine sitting there in Times Square watching that being filmed and be like, "Holy shit, that's Jason."
Yeah,
I know, right?
Dude,
like, even like the late 80s is even as like the horror.
Specifically look for those spots.
That's cool.
I will say that my favorite part in that movie is obviously when he gets to Times Square and he's looking in his face and he's just like the quick motions of his dude, it's awesome shot.
Even if even in the late 80s is like the horror boom of the 80s was like dying down. They still had people like freaking out because Jason was in Times Square. Like, it's like he's a movie star. Jason's a movie star.
That's when he became a pop culture icon. He was no longer Jason the Boy in the Lake. He was Jason the rock star.
Yeah.
And I want Jason to get that big again. You know what I mean? I want Jason to be in commercials. And
I think there's more interest
in a movie every other year. You know, I want to see that. Like, I love Michael, but I want Jason.
I think there's more interest for Friday the 13th in these recent years than there has been in a long time. Like with the release of the game and all these fan films.
Well, the game's getting shut down now, isn't it?
And just the dedicated servers.
Just the servers, right?
I'm still gonna be. Me and Jay is still gonna be playing.
Oh heck yeah, man! I just wish we had Ghost Jason on there.
We got him in Friday the 13th Killer Puzzle though. Like, what was your reaction to that? Like, did they contact you?
It's surreal, and you guys can, every time you guys do the free kick kill, you guys think of me because I designed it. Yes. So you guys have fun with that, and so with Kyle and Ghost Jason being in the puzzle game, it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, I was actually playing as Ghost Jason the other day, and Kyle popped up on my map, and I was like, "Yeah, you done, son! I'm gonna kill my friend in a game. It's so cool. Like, it's him.
So
like,
awesome.
The red jacket, like the beanie. It's like I'm just laugh so hard every time that happens. I'm like, this is so stupid. I can't believe this paid off.
Closest thing I get to that was making Michael in a wrestling game and then beating the fuck out of
him. Well, Vincent, what is it actually like to play Jason?
It's a lot of work.
Is it? Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces to it. There's a lot of weight that goes on your body. It takes a toll. It's tiring. When you're done, I mean, you're drained. You've sweated, you've moved around, you've carried the stuff, you've walked in uncomfortable boots, you've not been able to see for 3 hours or 4 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure you have no peripheral vision, right?
No,
absolutely none.
Tripping on stuff, bumping my head. Can't touch or feel anything. You know what I mean?
No.
Can't really do anything.
When you have the mask on with the bust or the head, do you have it cut out so you can actually breathe? Or
Yeah,
is
I have a face hole.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the normal face hole, and I just do a bunch of makeup underneath, so that way no light reflects off my skin.
Yeah.
Was
it easier this time around in snow because you didn't have to worry too much about playing the part as much?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely great that Brian did most of the work on the snow
days.
Honestly,
you couldn't really tell a difference between both of you guys.
No, we got it down to a science now. And I think I get a lot of credit for the work Brian does in Never Hike Alone, too. I mean, we're almost 50-50 in everything. I think, I did everything in Disappear. I did about half of everything in Never Hike Alone. He did the other half. And then I did about, he did a lot of the opening. I did the kill, and then he did the drag. And then I did, he did the mom scene, because that woman who played Pamela Voorhees is his significant other.
Oh, cool.
So they actually have a chemistry. So I was like, you guys should be out there and do this scene. Why am I going to be out there with her? And then I kill him at the end. So Brian Forrest, my stunt double, is the guy who plays the deputy in the film.
Yeah.
No way.
You didn't know? Wait.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Yeah. So the deputy is the other Jason, and so I blow off the other Jason's head. So in the next movie,
so Vinny killed Jason,
or in one of the other movies coming up, he's gonna kill me.
I'm
gonna be
cool. Nice.
I'm gonna be like a silent deputy in the background, and I'm gonna get my head crushed or something.
Nice.
I'm gonna go out good.
I bet Andrew's gonna like that.
I got another question. For Hike Alone. So when they're in the ambulance at the end and Tommy's calling in the radio and then he turns to his left, and I can't remember what he actually says, but it's like, or it's you again or something, or what does he say?
He goes, "Son of a bitch, I knew it." And if you listen to Never Hike in the Snow, Rick goes, "Son of a bitch, I knew it."
So my question was okay, son of a bitch, I knew it, but then he gets taken out or gets whatever happens outside. But then when he sees Jason in the back, he goes, "Hey, remember me?" So I'm thinking, is it somebody else? Is it Vinny?
No, what it is that Jason, we're going to kind of rewinding a little bit. Never Hike Again. We're going to see that scene.
Okay.
We're going to see what happens when he gets pulled out. So what it means is that Jason didn't finish him off.
Okay.
Jason went after the other guy, he went after the girl, but he forgot about Tommy. And so that's why he's like, "Remember me? You didn't get me, bastard."
That was a really good Tom impression.
Yeah. And so with Son of a Bitch,
or
I knew
Axel.
it. Son of a Bitch, I knew it is really tied into, and this is going to be great about the Ghost Cut, is that Son of a Bitch, I knew it is tied into the way Tommy is left feeling at the end of Never Hike in the Snow.
Okay.
That feeling of I knew he was still out there.
Yeah.
I finally can prove it. You know what I mean? But now he's attacking him. So he's kind of
okay,
caught off guard.
And I never really thought about it until I saw snow, and I was like, well, maybe Vinny comes out of the forest and sees Tommy, and then Jason comes up. But I don't know. Because Never Hike in the Snow is before snow, or Never Hike Alone.
Yeah,
is
before Never Hike Alone. No. Never Hike in the Snow is before Never Hike Alone.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So
that's why I thought it was Vinny.
No. So that's why Tommy doesn't see Jason.
Yes.
Is because in Never Hike Alone he hadn't seen him yet. So realistically, before he got to Jason, before Rick stopped him, and then in Never Hike Alone, he finally sees Jason coming at the door, and he's like,
and that's the first time he sees him.
it. And that's the first time he's seen him in 25 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that
up. I do have one last question for you. How would it feel, you get 10, 15 years down the road, and then some young, inspiring young man or lady decides to carry on your story?
Good for them. I mean, I thought somebody messaged me the other day, and it made it sound like they were making a fan film, and I was just like, oh my god, this is hilarious. I mean, it's by then, hopefully I'm on to bigger and better things. I'm not still making these. Not to say that I don't love doing this, but by then I should be, making my own stuff. I'm really kind of working with a very small sliver of time, and and that's okay. And I'm really just kind of like, this is a really, I don't know. I feel really lucky to kind of have this opportunity, and I don't want to just say like, well, fan films aren't the cool thing, so I'm just going to run away from it and go make original stuff. It's like, I'm really passionate about this story, and like, if this is the only opportunity I'm ever going to have to say something about Friday the 13th, and people are actually listening, well, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Like, this is better than any forum or Facebook chat. Like, I'm not going to type and tell you about it. I'm just going to show you what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And if everybody kind of jumps on board, that's just encouraging me to do it more, because it means that there is this great thing. And what I hope more than anything is that the people who are getting to the plate and saying, we're going to make this, is some kid who's remaking it at a studio, and he's saying, I'm bringing the Never Hike Alone story to the theater.
That would be,
and I'm making that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's
would be
what
rad.
they do. I would love for that to happen. I think that would be kind of a cool story. And I don't know if it will ever happen. We'll see. We have a long way to go.
So, one last question that our friend Justin had was, which is your favorite part of making the fan films? Writing, filming, or editing?
Filming in the summer.
Not in the snow.
Not in the snow. Filming
right.
Not in the snow. When we're out there and it's just us and we're having fun and we're having a good time, really, that's it.
Yeah.
Did you
we had
guys-
a great time when we were in Flagstaff, because it was the weather was nicer. We had very comfortable. We had a very nice house that we were staying in. We got a very like it's a little bit more affordable out that way. So we drive out to Flagstaff to shoot at that camp.
So that was
Yeah.
in Never Hike Alone, right?
We filmed Flagstaff Never Hike Alone for the Head Crush. We filmed Flagstaff for Disappear for the entire thing, and Never Hike in the Snow, everything at the camp except for the scenes where Tommy gets chased in the snow.
Yeah.
That is in Big Bear. That's at another camp in Big Bear. So now we've used a total of 3 camps.
Cool.
And 3 camps and 3 lakes.
Nice.
4 lakes. 4 lakes, actually.
Dang. Well,
are there more water shots in the future?
We'll get there.
Yeah, because I say that ending.
We'll get back into the lake.
That ending when you pop out of the water, or if it was you or the other guy, you squeeze his head. When you squeeze that head, oh my god, that prop is fucking phenomenal, man.
Yep, Kelsey Burke, she did an amazing job, and then Nora Hewitt did all the new stuff in the newer films, Disappear and Never Hike in the Snow.
That's
nice.
Awesome.
How much involvement did you have with Happy Halloween? Like, I know you played Michael, but
yeah, I mean, it was kind of a last minute thing for me. They booked me to play Michael. Cortland asked me to do it, and ran it by Jimmy. Jimmy was like, "Hell yeah," because I didn't want to play it. So yeah, no, that was a ton of fun. And so the things that I really brought to the table were, we had the costume, but it needed to be distressed, and they had a lot of stuff to do. So I spent the day distressing the costume, tearing it up a little bit, staining it up. I was
rolling around the dirt.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of that, but it was mostly like coffee staining and taking blades and cutting up stuff and removing tags and things, anything that would have stood out.
Yeah.
I helped. So there's that oneer with Berlin that goes through the whole house.
Yeah.
They needed some guidance on that, so I helped light that scene, and I helped basically trace out the path that it followed. And then worked with Cortland and Berlizzi to kind of like work. Sorry, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah,
so it's kind of
me too.
off.
Is that Jay?
Sorry, I'll give it a shot. So I heard myself.
There we go.
I'm hearing myself. But anyway, so I worked with them on that shot, and kind of helped them out, and then Cortland kind of finished it off and just kind of helped them kind of with the outlay of that. What else did I help them with? And then really was just there for moral support. We just had like a good time, and like worked with just kind of worked with them on some ideas and how to execute some stuff. I actually came up with the name Happy Halloween.
Nice.
We were coming up with different names. I won't spoil anything for Jimmy to say what the other names were, but we were kind of like, we had a name and we were like, I don't know.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
And so then we were like, yeah, and then I don't know, something about like, because the opening was so brutal, I just kind of like, it kind of made me say like, that was Michael when he drops the kid. He's just like, Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then walks off into the night. I was just
Yep.
like, bam! Like,
No,
what better
I
shape than that?
I shot you a message last week saying that like I was working on like a fan edit of like 2018 where I was
Oh
incorporating.
yeah, that was you.
Yeah, when I was incorporating Happy Halloween into that because I actually, to me, it felt like deleted scenes, and I actually found a way to work it in. I'm actually
Cool.
if you want, like, I just finished like editing it yesterday. I was gonna give the link to people, like see like
Yeah,
if they
definitely.
want
You
to
should
see.
definitely send that to Jimmy and Cortland too.
Okay, yeah, I will. It also incorporated stuff from like Chris R. Notarile, Blinky Productions. He did one that was like following like after Blinky 500 is the name of the YouTube channel, but after the end of one where it shows like Hawkins and them actually arresting Michael and stuff, I was actually able to incorporate that into it too. And I'm also working. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm looking forward to seeing it.
All right. I'm also I myself like getting to talk to you and James and people like that. I'm working on my own Halloween fan film currently. Like I'm getting
cool.
I'm getting ready to film a teaser for it just to gauge interest, see if people actually like want to see this thing. It's just a retelling of the original Halloween, but not with like he doesn't go after Laurie.
Oh, who's he go after?
A girl named Charlie.
Okay.
And it's just like I'm filming at my buddy's house. It's probably gonna be maybe 30 minutes long, but it's really just my vision of Halloween. Like I've watched the other films and I love all the other films, but I'm taking inspiration mainly just from the original. Like I'm watching that and like wanting to do stuff like that, like how Carpenter made the original is how I'm wanting to make this one. And I'm
no, that's definitely cool.
I'm just
that's
calling,
like the same vibe that like Rene Rivas had when he did Spirit of Haddonfield. That was kind of like the vibe he was going for.
I remember that. Yeah, I'm actually using the same mask that you that was in that one, except I
the trick or treat mask.
Yeah, except I colored the neck white.
Cool.
Nice.
I was watching. I was like, "Holy crap! That's the same exact mask I have." Actually, I watched that like last week because it was like I knew we were going to be doing something with you. And I was like, I remembered the name. I didn't remember exactly what happened, but as soon as I started watching, I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember this."
Yeah, speaking of like when talking about fan films and stuff, and everyone, my daughters, I have 11-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I've gotten them to love Jason and Michael Myers. So we did a fan film, or not? I guess you'd call it a fan film, but me, my fiance, and my daughters, we filmed a movie one night where I played Michael, and I think I nailed the stair scene where he walks down. I nailed that part. But at the end, I walk to the door as my kids run out of the house, and then I turn around and my youngest daughter has a Jason mask on, and it was perfect. I had so much fun doing that, so I couldn't imagine actually doing what you do, Vincent and Brad, Blake, and Justin's got his own fan film too that he's working on, and then I love the inspiration that we can actually do this now because of social media and YouTube, and everybody gets to see all this content.
And because like the social media stuff, like as far as like alumni, like Friday 13th alumni, I feel like they connected a lot more with fans than maybe a lot of other people have. Like I'm friends like the guy from the Chuck from Part 3, and of course you and like Super Freddy and stuff like that. Like I felt like I've been able to connect more with people from actually I actually got Vinny to do a little something for me when I did my Friday 13th Part 6 review. Yeah, that's how I met him, and then we got to talk to Adam Marcus and stuff. And I'll get to talk like you, like stuff. I love being actual to talk with people, like creators.
It makes you understand their vision so much more.
It's only strengthened my bond and brought me closer to Friday 13th.
Oh, totally. I mean, that's kind of how I've kind of opened up. Is like talking to Tom McLaughlin, or I've talked to John Carl Beekler, I've talked to Adam, I talked to Joe Zito. I'd love to talk to Steve Miner. I'd love to talk to Sean about it, but Sean's not really a big fan of Friday the 13th. It's not something he likes to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'd love to talk to Steve Miner. I I'd even love to talk to Rob Heaton, who did Part 8.
Yeah.
Kind of talk to him. I'd love to talk to Todd Farmer, Mark Shannon, and Damian Swift. I'd love to talk to them, even though I've trashed their films so much. But I never blame them. I'm always like, it's the directors. Like, the directors keep making weird versions of like something that's there that could be really cool. So it's really kind of them. And so like, it goes down the line. Like all these guys who have worked in the films. Like I'd love to meet the guys from Platinum Dunes because I do have a lot of respect for Brad Fuller and Adam Forum for what they attempted to do and what they dealt with for 10 years. I was rooting for them. You know what I mean? I was rooting for them to succeed. I wasn't saying I wanted them to fail. I knew they had it in them. It's just they ran into a lot of stuff. So, I've talked to Derek Mears. I've talked to a lot of Jasons. I've talked to a lot of victims. I've talked to some final girls. It's been a really cool kind of a culmination of being a Friday fan and being able to fill my Friday the 13th brain with more knowledge based on the stuff that they tell me about what happened behind the scenes, how films are shot. It's changed my perspective of the series.
If I got to meet Amy Steele, I think I'd die happy.
If I got to meet Kane, I'd be happy. I can die happy.
Yeah.
I've
met her once. Yeah.
I normally ask.
Don't say that. Damn.
I normally ask everybody that we have on what's their favorite horror movie of all time, but you already said that earlier that you can't really judge that. If you could, tell me that, but I'm going to ask you a different question. Who is your favorite Jason actor that played Jason?
CJ. Part 6 is my favorite. It's a tie between CJ and Ted White. I love Kane.
Ted's
too.
mine.
But it's more for me. It's like it has to do with like the complete look, and I love that Part 6 look.
Yes.
I love that Part 4 look. I think Kane and then Kane is like they're all right there. I mean,
they're all good.
Like I was saying earlier, like there's
Paramount is up here, and then like Ken is okay. Derek's great. I mean, nobody really does a bad job.
That's what I was saying earlier. Like there really isn't like a bad Jason. It's just like the least best.
Yeah.
Even
Ari Lehman, like when he jumps out at the end and like grabs Alice, that's so iconic.
I always like how Kane gives him shit for being like, "Oh yeah, he's Jason for 3 seconds." But it's iconic, you know what I mean, and it means a lot to a lot of people. So you can't discount that.
Yeah, for sure.
My personal favorite is Ted White. Like, he seems really pissed off in 4.
Yeah,
like he seems like maybe a little more like. Not lazy, but a little more calmer in 3, like with how he walks, like after he kills Vera. I mean,
he's a little.
I like Booker.
Yeah, bro, he's
good.
He's really big.
What gets me about 3 is that it's a little bit of
lackadaisical.
It's more about like. What was it? No, it was kind of like the story. It was like that backstory that they tried to give him that kind of like turned me off of that Jason with like kidnapping Chris. There was always something weird about that, and there was something about like the weird smile that he had where he was like,
"Oh yeah, up in the window."
That shot always kind of made me like.
And I know a lot of people like confuse like
I didn't love the look.
I know a lot of people confuse like when he takes off his mask, it looks like he's just like showing his face to Chris. He had to take his mask off.
It's you.
To get that noose off. Like I've had so many people like we talk about 3, which I'm actually doing a video on 3, so I'm definitely gonna talk about that more.
Hey Blake, I think you should show Vincent the background.
No,
you got
No.
There's a different one.
Hold on.
He had it on earlier.
I got a duck.
There it is.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one.
Oh man, it makes me laugh every time.
I laughed my ass off when I saw that.
I even had to do the reflection. That was really hard.
Yeah, man. No, let's go. Yeah, I can see it. Good job, man. That's good.
So do you guys when Pamela comes up at the end out of the water, I don't like that.
In 3?
Well, I mean, it's a dream sequence.
It is a dream sequence, right?
Anything can happen in a dream sequence. I'm okay with anything happening in a dream sequence.
Like the end of Part 2.
That's good.
Yeah.
Which I've always argued is a dream.
I always get a kick out of this.
That's kind of how it's kind of officially canon that it is a dream.
Yeah, because the beginning of Part 3, he's like limping away from that, and Paul is still alive. Paul and Jenny
You
got
know that,
married, and they
Paul did
lived
not make it
happily ever
very
after.
far.
at the beginning
Paul
of
did not
part
make it very
3 when
far.
they're
Paul
showing
and
the
Jenny
new
lived
sequence
happily
on
ever
TV.
after. That's what I'm choosing to believe.
I had a buddy of mine arguing with me about the whole sexual mutilation line that they used in part 3 in the new sequence. But if you think about it, I mean, he did chop that dude in the junk when he was walking on his hands. I think that's what they're to.
Yeah, the junk was definitely snipped off.
That's my favorite Jason kill. I can't lie.
That's
The way they
cool.
shot
It
that
is-
through the floor, that was
It
so
is
cool.
creative. Yes, it's very creative.
I like corkscrew
Cool.
or Axel when he
Hey,
gets his
where's
head
the
turned around.
corkscrew?
No,
Tad.
that's a great one. I like Mark in part 2 when he gets it in the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's with
Yeah.
the blunt
Oh,
side
God,
too.
yeah.
It's like with the blunt side of the blade, so that had to hurt way worse.
How did they get him up the steps? So that's my only question.
The what?
How did Mark
How
get
they
up?
actually got him up the steps that he went down? I know that
Oh, well,
it's
up
only a
there.
joke. Yeah.
Because playing Friday
Come on, you
13th.
played the game. You know
The other night, I
Yeah, playing Friday 13th, the game, and like you see part 2. I was thinking like, how the hell did he get up on the porch? Someone carry him? Because like, there's no ramp.
They had a ramp, didn't they? Or no, they used to lift him up.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
there's a scene of somebody lifting him up
Yeah,
into the house.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty
Maybe.
sure that's what happened. Yeah.
yeah. I just discussed part 2 with Jay's daughter because she's a big fan of that one.
Yeah, she's 12 years old, and this girl is a diehard Jason fanatic. She
She's
loves
what-
your movie,
That's awesome.
by the way.
She's a
She
part
really
of.
does. I'm not just
Yes.
saying that. She is hardcore when it comes to Jason.
She's part
She's
of.
12 years old
Yeah.
and asked me, Dad, who's your favorite serial killer? Mine's Jason. That's when she was 3. Oh my God.
That's funny.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, she's 11, but she's already turned into a teenager. But my youngest daughter is my twin because she's just all about Halloween, Jason. Like every time I get them every weekend, so every time she gets here, she's got to put one of my masks on. She's got my Michael mask on. She's running around the house doing all this shit. But I have to wait a little bit more when she's a little older to like show her your stuff and Halloween 2018.
Mhm.
I only show her
Yeah.
I only show her Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 on TV cuts. Even Halloween 1 isn't horrible, but it's amazing for me to have a 6-year-old daughter that is infatuated more than me almost. I love it.
That's
I
cute.
love it, dude. And I'm so respectful of that. I don't show her the stuff that she doesn't need to see. But
that's my parents. She
Yep.
make me
Yep.
cover my
Yep.
eyes.
Cover your eyes.
But exactly, it reminds me when I was a kid watching it, and she'll get scared and like, Daddy, is this real? I'm like, no, it's fake, babe. It's fake, bub. And she's like, oh yeah, it's right. It's only fake, and it's only actors, and it's just for TV. And I'm like,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and that's what made me interested. I was always interested in like, how did they build that? How did they make it look real? Like, or I'd be like, oh, that was obviously fake. Like, it looks fake. Like, you know what I mean? So I used to like to kind of see how that worked.
Oh yeah, I love watching behind the scenes stuff. If I get a DVD that doesn't have like special features behind the scenes stuff, I'm actually a little sad because I love.
Oh my god, that what is it? Into the Darkness whatever that documentary is,
On
like
Shudder.
4 hours long, and there's another part coming out soon, dude. I could watch that every day.
In Search for Darkness.
Yes,
In Search, yes.
I could watch that every day.
Good. So guys, I don't want to cut you short, but I got to run to
Yeah.
another meeting.
Yeah.
I
I got a couple things I got to drop off. But
So
this has been great. I've really enjoyed talking to you guys.
That's it. It's been great. It's been great to have you on the stream, Lawyers.
Yeah, thanks
Welcome
for coming
back.
on, Vincent, man.
I got one more question, dude.
Anytime.
What's that?
All right, yeah.
I know you were busy, man, but is there any update on the posters that are being sent out and all the Indiegogo stuff?
Yeah. So, real quick, I'm going to do it. So this will come out on the 13th. I'm going to be doing a big announcement on the 13th about where everything is and what we're doing. We have to take care of the people from the first campaign first, and my focus has been the Blu-rays, getting them done. I'll have a few surprises for people on Friday for the Blu-rays about what they're going to be able to get in the Blu-ray. The Ghost Cut will not be on the Blu-ray. That is its own thing.
Yeah.
We need to actually continue working on it. If we ever wanted to put that on a Blu-ray, we want to go in and actually do some work on it. We want to make
For
it
sure.
Yeah.
for something special. So what you'll see is any additional things you see in Never Hike in the Snow, that will be in the Blu-ray. Everything you see additionally and disappear, that will be on the Blu-ray. So that's something that we were working towards because we wanted to make the Blu-ray purchase like really mean something and kind of like add a little bit of a taste to it, not just drop the old files in and move on.
Oh yeah.
And we had the BTS to do and stuff like that. Once we get the Blu-rays out, we're going to start looking at the other things that need to be shipped and bought. And we have to start putting in our orders. It's just I needed a break. That's
I totally 100% stand
All right.
I understand that.
All right. Well, Vincent,
Vinny, it's fine.
Vinny. Okay, it was great having you on the Stream Warriors. You know, awesome to talk to you. Pick your mind about everything Friday the 13th and just everything like as far as the filmmaking goes. Welcome back anytime. I think.
Yeah.
I think we like it. Yeah.
I'd love to be here. Yeah, let's talk after you guys have seen some of the next stuff. Let's talk when we start launching some of our new campaigns next year. And just make sure people are following us at youtube.com. Films, WOMPSTOMPFILMS, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just follow us there. Anything that we do, it gets posted to our social media streams, and you'll know the first about it if you're following. If not, you're
I'm always following.
Wait, that's out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
That's right.
well, anyways, go ahead.
I appreciate. Sorry, I want to appreciate you for taking time out of your day and giving us some time to do this, man. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode of Stream Warriors, and we're going to end it now. So, bye.
Peace.